Hello, and welcome to my Arizona State University Technical Writing Communications 490 Capstone presentation. While browsing through majors when deciding to pursue my bachelor's degree at Arizona State University, one major in particular caught my eye: Technical Writing Communications. With a background in preclinical research, I understand how important writing and communication can be to a multitude of situations. This major seemed the perfect fit for me and my career. While earning my degree in technical writing communications at ASU, I have gained expertise in 4 distinct subjects: rhetorical knowledge, critical thinking, reading and writing, processes, and knowledge of conventions. The technical writing communications learning outcome rhetorical knowledge required the following 9 abilities of students: identify, articulate, and focus on a defined purpose, respond to the need of the appropriate audience, respond appropriately to different rhetorical situations, use conventions of format and structure appropriate to the rhetorical situation, adopt appropriate voice, tone, and level of formality, understand how each genre helps to shape writing and how readers respond to it, the ability to write in multiple genres, to understand the role of a variety of technologies and media in accessing, retrieving, managing, and communicating information, and to use appropriate technologies to organize, present, and communicate information to address a range of audiences, purposes, and genres. The technical writing communications learning outcome, critical thinking, reading, and writing, required the following 5 abilities of students: to use information, writing, and reading for inquiry, learning, thinking, and communicating, to understand that research and writing is a series of tasks, including accessing, retrieving, evaluating, analyzing, and synthesizing appropriate data and information from sources that vary in content, format, structure, and scope. To understand the relationships among language, knowledge, and power, including social, cultural, historical, and economic issues related to information, writing, and technology. To recognize, understand, and analyze the context within which language, information, and knowledge are produced, managed, organized, and disseminated, and the ability to integrate previously held beliefs, assumptions, and knowledge with new information and the ideas of others. The technical writing communications learning outcome processes required the following 8 abilities of students: be aware that it usually takes multiple drafts to create and complete a successful text. Develop research and writing strategies appropriate to the context and situation. To develop flexible strategies for generating, revising, editing, and proofreading. To understand research and writing as an open process that permits writers to use later invention and rethinking to revise their work. To understand the collaborative and social aspects of research and writing processes, and learn to critique their own and others' works, to learn to balance the advantages of relying on others with the responsibility of doing their part, to use appropriate technologies to manage data and information collected or generated for future use. The technical writing communications learning outcome, knowledge of conventions, required the following 7 abilities of students: to learn common formats for different genres, learn standard tools for accessing and retrieving information, to learn and apply appropriate standards, laws, policies, and accepted practices for the use of a variety of technologies, to develop knowledge of genre conventions ranging from structure and paragraphing to tone and mechanics, to apply appropriate means of documenting their work, to control such surface features as syntax, grammar, punctuation, and spelling, and the ability to understand and apply legal and ethical uses of information and technology, including copyright and intellectual property. Comprehension of the learning outcomes was achieved by working through many assignments I had to complete while working towards my degree. These assignments or artifacts are a WordPress portfolio showcasing what I learned from the projects the class is based upon, a final report on water use by ASU students, a GLP blog for professional publication, a final proposal, and a social media audit and presentation, which is now being utilized by the company it was developed for. Over the next few slides, these artifacts will help to demonstrate how I have mastered the technical writing communications learning outcomes. TWC 421, Principles of Writing with Technology, required students to create social media platforms for our writing. We were allowed to choose a topic, which had to be approved, so I went with technical writing and social media as it was the natural choice. With a well-defined audience, it was imperative that I create a working website that would define what I learned in the class and how I learned it. The website looks and feels professional and is a good showcase of what I learned in this class. Through creation of this portfolio, I achieved the rhetorical knowledge learning outcomes 1 through 9 by assessing my audience, creating appropriate platforms for the assignment, and using professional dialogue. The Evolutionary Technical Writing Facebook page, WordPress blog, and YouTube video required assessment of the platform in conjunction with the audience, as well as research into relevant material for such. The creation of this material had to be professional, appealing, and educational. While developing the content for the multiple social media sites, I achieved the critical thinking, reading, and writing outcomes 1 through 5. The many peer reviews that were done in this class of the many forums we were required to write on helped me to achieve the processes learning outcomes 1 through 8. Utilization of multiple forms of social media platforms and online writing helped me to achieve the knowledge of conventions learning outcomes 1 through 7. The TWC 443 proposal writing class required a final proposal which I based on a study I had wanted to do to improve animal welfare. Unfortunately, I did not receive the funding for the grant I applied for. However, I was able to use the information I developed for that as motivation for this assignment. At the time, the task seemed so daunting, but by breaking it into manageable sections, I completed what I believe is one of my most polished documents. It demonstrates adherence to an audience as well as context and research into an important topic. The format utilizes appropriate sections and graphics which add appeal to the length of it. With the scientific proposal, responding to the appropriate audience is key if your work is to be taken professionally. By utilizing the rhetorical knowledge learning outcomes 1 through 9, I was able to create a professional and justified proposal. Creating this proposal required lots of research, which helped me to achieve learning outcomes 1 through 5 for critical thinking, reading, and writing. Research included both scientific information as well as animal welfare and facility maintenance for the many sections of this proposal. The many processes of this report, including the peer reviews, helped me to achieve the processes learning outcomes 1 through 6. Creating documentation for the many different aspects associated with this report, as well as properly documenting all information referenced, helped me to achieve all learning outcomes for knowledge of conventions. TWC 403, Writing for Professional Publication, required that we find a format that we wanted to be published on and create multiple documents for it. My blog focused on an area I wanted to dive into professionally, GLP, or Good Laboratory Practices Studies, as well as made me think about where my career was headed. This project required an audience analysis and lots of research into the subject. I utilized an area I want to specialize in, GLP studies. GLP studies are the last stage of preclinical research required by the FDA. These studies have stringent documentation requirements. Some may consider them tedious, however, to me it's a puzzle. I love the document regulations required of GLP studies. It's what keeps scientists honest and ensure reproducible results. The GLP blog helped me achieve the rhetorical knowledge learning outcomes 1 through 9 and the critical thinking, reading, and writing learning outcomes 1 through 5 by requiring that I tailor my writing to that of a blog. Making something so incredibly regulated into something approachable and friendly was a big challenge as a writer. It also required that I thoroughly analyze my audience and be sure the information presented was neither too basic nor too complex. Research into the GLP process and how it came to be helped me to achieve the process's learning outcomes 1 through 8. It also required multiple edits and drafts of all posts as peer reviews proved beneficial. Learning outcomes 1 through 7 for knowledge of conventions were achieved by creation and continuation of the blog and the research conducted for it. TWC 446, Technical and Scientific Reports, required working in a group to develop an individual final report. Initially, I completely dreaded this assignment, as working in a group can be challenging. However, while working in this group, I found my best group work skill, rallying. I was able to cheerlead and encourage others to participate and discovered it's something I'm not only good at, but that I enjoy. Holding others accountable is a skill, but good leadership can help everyone contribute. This report required research into water usage by ASU students, of which we created a survey to analyze, as well as research into proper formatting of this type of report. Defining the purpose, as well as making this report appeal to its intended audience, helped to achieve the learning outcomes 1 through 8 for rhetorical knowledge. Creating relevant and professional content allowed me to achieve the critical thinking, reading, and writing learning outcomes 1 through 5. Working as a group through the many stages required in developing this report solidified the process's learning outcomes 1 through 8. And learning this format, as well as documenting research done through the survey, helped achieve knowledge of conventions learning outcomes 1 through 7. TWC 494, Social Media Writing, was a favorite class of mine as the social media is such an interesting platform for writing. I based the proposal off my husband's company, The Dorland Co., and I'm currently managing their social media presence. This document shows interpretation for the necessary platforms as well as presentation ability. It also analyzes appropriate social media outlets for the company and how utilization of such could benefit their business. The social media audit and presentation required research into the Dorland Co.'s online presence, as well as research into social media, its users, and how it affects businesses. It was in tailoring its presentation to the Dorland Co. that I achieved learning outcomes 1 through 9 for rhetorical knowledge. Creating a professional presentation and researching social media allowed me to achieve learning outcomes 1 through 5 for critical thinking, reading, and writing. Working through the many stages of this audit and presentation helped me to achieve the process's learning outcomes 1 through 8. And presenting this information on a platform that could be viewed in person or via computer helped me achieve the knowledge of conventions learning outcomes 1 through 7. After reviewing the 5 artifacts, you can see I've learned a great deal in my tenure as a student in the Technical Writing Communications program at Arizona State University. This program has prepared me to enter the working world as a technical communicator and as a writer. I couldn't be more excited. Thank you.